what's the word now? There were protests trying to get Nnamdi Kanu to be released. There was a free Nnamdi Kanu protest. And let's say with all the drama that happened, it was all to get him out and away from detention and all of that. This in view of the fact that federal government had rested their case. The NMA had said he was fit to stand trial because whatever ailment he had wasn't life-threatening. This also in view of the fact that Nnamdi Kanu and his team had tried to push for a no-case submission, which was thrown out, and a date was set for him to start to present his case, and that eventually did happen. The protest didn't deter that. No other ploy that was tried to be put into effect happened, and so he went ahead to start his case. And leader of the proscribed IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, decided to start with a flourish. And he said, look, okay, you all want me to do this, let's go there. And he proceeded to present a list containing a category of serving and former officials who Mr. Kanu described as compellable witnesses. And the list is interesting indeed. First on that list is the Minister of the FCT himself, Barrister Nyesom Wike. We also have Theophilus Danjuma, retired Lieutenant General and former Chief of Army Staff. Tuku Buratai is also on that list, another retired Lieutenant General and former Chief of Army Staff. And then you have some executive members also in the persons of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State and Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. And Nnamdi Kanu said, wait, hold my pen, I'm not done. The Minister of Works is also on that list as a compellable witness. Okezie Ikpeazu, the immediate past governor of Abia State. Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, the immediate past DG of the NIA. And Yusuf Bichi, a former Director General of the SSS. Now, he has listed these people as compellable witnesses. It will be interesting to see what the outcome is going to be. It's not clear whether these people were even aware that they were on this list as his witnesses, but it's going to be quite the Nollywood movie, I think, in the next couple of days or weeks, depending on how long this spans for.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what do you think he's playing at with this?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what is in his mind. I don't know the strategy of his legal team. Honestly, I don't know. I say this because defense witness or witnesses, as I know, are people that are supposed to come and state certain facts in court under oath with the aim to exonerate you from the accusation or the allegations upon which you are standing trial.
Exactly.
But we now bring members of both former and the current ruling class, bring in those who are actually responsible for your trial right now, those who brought you from Kenya, those who detained you, those who put you on trial. Why are you able to come to court and now exonerate you? Or wouldn't they just come and add petrol to fire already that is burning? Because I've seen it happen in court. When in some instances, for example, in criminal trials, EFCC will bring prosecuting witnesses. They will go there and testify in favor of the defense.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will bring, you go and list your defense witness. Somewhere along the line, either through compromise or whatever. The person will come to court and state things that will put you further into trouble. I mean, it's like when we had our about to differ debate here in Abuja.
Yeah.
If you recall, one of the candidates then, who was supposed to argue for a point, ended up argued against the point and scored 0 immediately without anybody. So this is what it's looking like. But again, I don't know the strategy of his legal team. I don't know the reason behind this thing. Everybody, this seems to be hostile witnesses, if you ask me.
Wow.
I mean, former DSS was responsible in collaboration with the DGNIA of bringing you in. So these are supposed to be actually prosecuting witnesses, if they're supposed to be called into court or not.
Well, according to him, there are two different categories. Some of them are, as he put it, ordinary but material witnesses, and then the people who, some of the people who were just listed now are in the second category of witnesses that he put forward, which he called vital and compellable. And he said they shall be summoned under Section 232 of the Evidence Act.
You have so many people that come and put into trouble. That's the point I'm making. How I categorize these people? I'm not seeing anybody here who is sympathetic to Nnamdi Kanu or his cause. I'm not in the entire people he has listed. I've not. Is it Teofilo Danjuma, who fought in the Civil War to unify Nigeria, that will come to court and speak in favor in any way to exonerate Nnamdi Kanu? So I don't know the strategy. Maybe he's the one in the dock, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But for me, as somebody who's looking at him from the outside, I don't get the strategy. I had expected that now that he has agreed to oppose his defense in court, there are certain kind of witnesses that would have been listed. Okay, these are people that will go to court and state clearly that Nnamdi Kanu is not linked to the violence in the southeast as witnesses on ground. If possible, if there are people that have been arrested, that are these people that you call unknown gunmen who are responsible for the killings in the southeast, who are responsible for attacking police stations, attacking enemy formations, any of such people that have been arrested should have been brought to court to not testify that, okay, we did it on our own, Nnamdi Kanu didn't send us to go and do it. Yes. And that we were not indoctrinated by him. We simply did it because we felt some other ways. But he didn't give us the arms, he didn't give us nothing. He didn't give us the order, he was not involved. These kind of witnesses are expected,
Yes, sir.
Exactly, to be brought in as defense witnesses. But you are bringing people that will come to court, and if they manage to come, they will come and the DGSS, DGNIA, I'm sure they will have treasure trove of documents or facts before them that they can present that links you to this crime. And because they are defense witnesses, they are not prosecuting. The people that are supposed to bring now to debunk what they have brought, to say, okay, no, this is fake, for instance, or no, this is not true, or this is cooked up, what do you call it now? Intelligence.
Yeah.
You are now bringing them as defense. So, again, I don't understand it, but he's an adult. And he has all the people around him that can guide him. So I believe he knows what he's doing. But just that I don't understand what he's doing, but I believe he knows what he's doing.
One thing that we can expect is that there is definitely going to be drama, because apparently he had filed a notice of preliminary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the court to continue with his trial. This is coming after a team of medical experts had determined his health status and declared him fit enough to stand trial. And the motion preceded the filing of his latest application on the 21st of October, listing his proposed defense witnesses. When he had filed that motion on the 16th, the court had granted him only 6 consecutive days, beginning from the 23rd of October, which is tomorrow, to open and close his defense. But he said no, based on the number of witnesses he has, which he has classified into these 2 different categories, that the court would need to grant him
more time,
as many as 90-day time frame to enable him conclude his defense.
Since it is at his request.
Yeah.
I think that should be granted. You see, I had favored a speedy trial at this stage. I mean, speedily with respect to this case. Let us know if the evidence the federal government has brought to court against him, if they are weighty enough to secure a conviction, let us know. Let the court tell us.
Yeah.
If not, if the federal government does not have evidence that links Nnamdi Kanu to terrorism and felony charges that is currently being tried for, let the court decide. Now, if he wants a 90-day window, for instance, to be able to present all of his defense witnesses and make his own case conclusive, I think it should be granted, since it is at his own discretion. He's on in detention. Because the offenses upon which he's being tried are not bailable offenses, that's why he's still in detention. So since he's the one in detention, and he's now saying, I need more time less time than you are willing to try me within, I need more time. So that means it is at his own volition that he wants to spend a bit more time in detention while trial is ongoing. The attendance should be granted so that at the end of the day, let it not be as if, because of inadequacy of time, he was forced to abridge the presentation of his own defense witnesses. And if it now goes against him, that will now be a sticking point in the judgment. You see, this is a politically charged matter.
Yes, it is.
So I would expect the federal government to exercise all forms of caution and discretion. And if you ask me, common sense in approaching this matter. So the judge should grant that request for 90-day window.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. He says that he wants a situation where the honorable court and the general public would not, it wouldn't just be a thing of justice was done, but it will show that it was manifestly seen to have been done.
Yes, and I support that too.
So he's taking his time, which is why it makes this list of compellable and vital witnesses, which he has put forward, to be very interesting. I expect. I don't know. My mind is flashing. I don't really pay attention to Nigerian courts and all of that. But I imagine watching some of these series where you see drama play out in court in such a way that even a witness that is brought forward will be said to do something that would favor the defendant, even without them knowing that they're favoring the defendant. So it's two different lists: the one of the ordinary but important witnesses, and the second list with all of these names on it that makes you want to think, is everything okay? But we'll definitely be following up with the case to see it. Yeah, so the federal government has closed their cases all about Nnamdi Kanu and his defense now.
His defense.
Yes, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. All right, let's move on very quickly. The AG, that's the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi-San, has ordered a multi-agency review of the proposed presidential pardon list. This one I know will excite Dr. Majeed. Had a number of things to say. When they say multi-agency, they're referring to the EFCC, that's the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the NDLEA, and the police.
Services, police.
Yes. And the exercise is hoping to result in, they say it may result in more than half of the 175 people that the president granted a pardon being dropped. I remember after the initial uproar about the 175, there were talks about the list being reviewed. Apparently, this probe is also a consequence of that review, and we would definitely be looking at what it's going to look like. Fagbemi-San listed illegal miners, white-collar convicts, drug offenders, foreigners, Major General Maman Vatsa, Professor Magaji Garba, Ken Sariwa, the late Ken Sariwa, and the Ogoni 8, as well as capital offenders such as Mariam Sanda, amongst the 175 convicts and former convicts who received presidential pardon from the list that was released on the 11th of October 2025. Now, we know that there are different categories of people on this list, but according to Fagbemi-San, on 16th of October, he clarified that the Presidential Prerogative of Mercy recently announced was still under review and had not been finalized. And this is why I think that the voice of the people does matter a lot of the time. Ordinarily, maybe we could have just looked at that list and thought, oh, well and good, it's his prerogative, whatever he decides to do with it. But, there was a lot of uproar, there was a lot of outcry. I remember watching you speak on... what was that? I think our sister station in Lagos. Was that where you spoke to that list? I remember speaking and I had a good laugh. I think you were of the position that you should have pardoned even more people.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Lawrence and Andy. And others now. Shidorabo.
So Richard. Anyway, the AG has now sent, he said the list has now been sent to NDLEA and other security agencies for review, which I think is a very laudable thing to do, because there were concerns about all that work that had been put in by some of these agencies, whether it was in the area of law and what they call it, drug and trafficking, and the criminal activities and all of that, and making how it sort of made nonsense of the work that they had done. But would you expect that they are going to do a thorough review of this list, talking about the NDLEA, the EFCC, and the rest? Just think on that for a bit, and we'll use that to come back from break, Dr. Majeed. Thanks.
Everyone says I'm beautiful and bold.
Listen to this special announcement from the FCT Public Health Department and Malaria Consortium.
The seasonal malaria chemoprevention campaign has commenced in the FCT.
The campaign involves the distribution of malaria preventive medicines that protect children who are 3 to 59 months of age from malaria.
The medicine is called SPAC, sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, SP, plus amodiaquin, AQ.
The SPAC are of two types. The one with the orange pack is for children between 3 months and less than 12 months, while the one with the red pack is for children who are from 12 months to 59 months of age.
Government-trained community drug distributors wearing SMC-branded uniforms will visit your houses, markets, quarters, estates, and barracks from June to October to distribute these life-saving medicines to eligible children.
These trained community drug distributors will visit your households once each month from June to October.
The community drug distributors will guide parents and caregivers on how to administer the first dose of SPAC to eligible children, and they will do so in the presence of parents. They will also instruct the parents and caregivers on how to administer the day 2 and day 3 doses of SPAC. In addition, the community drug distributors will issue SMC record card to each child that received SPAC.
The parents and caregivers are to keep the SMC child record card in a safe place, which will be requested by the community drug distributors in the subsequent administration of SPAC.
Remember, SPAC does not treat malaria. Do not give it to a sick child. Take sick children to the nearest health center for appropriate diagnosis and treatment.
All family members, especially children and pregnant mothers, should sleep inside long-lasting insecticide-treated nets to prevent malaria.
For a malaria-free Nigeria, play your part. Ensure your child takes the malaria preventive medicines today and have healthy children free from malaria.
This message is from the FCT Public Health Department and Malaria Consortium.
Say we're even going to go ahead and say, fine, it's not too late for them to be doing this, seeing as they have not been released, they've not been, allowed to go home and all of that. Do you think a thorough job will be done, or do you think this is just some sort of like a facelift kind of thing going on?
Well, I'm hoping it's not just a face-saving measure by the government to pacify the public, the concerned public, over what looks like a very reckless exercise of prerogative of mercy, without consideration for justice for victims, justice for the society, and justice for the Nigerian state. So I'm hoping that it is indeed trying to now put the horse before the cart. But first, let me also admit something here. It might sound as though it's something that is easy to do, but I can tell you it's not very easy for a Nigerian government to go back on a decision, as this government is about to do now. And that is why it is good that you also mentioned the fact that it is quite commendable that the government listened to public opinion and in this regard decided to review what ordinarily has gotten presidential consent. You see, I keep telling people that, or those in government rather, that it is not a sign of weakness, but you realize you are on a part of error as a government, even if you have given stamp of authority on it at the highest level of the presidency, and then you go back on it in the interest of public concerns, in the interest of decency, in the interest of justice as it is with this case. So I want to commend the president and the Attorney General of the Federation for going back on this list, going back on this decision to now review it. Well, I hope and pray that it is with good intention they are doing this, and not just to save face and then people quietly do the needful as they had intended it before. And for me, in reviewing this list, any drug offender, anybody convicted for any category of drug offense, should not be seen anywhere in a pardon list. It does not do good for the nation. It does not show good image for the nation. It makes Nigeria look more like a rogue state where the government is sympathetic to drug barons. If that was an oversight, then it was a very, very unfortunate one. Especially again, for a president that the opposition threw a lot of drug-related accusations against during the election. How do you now pardon more drug offenders in the list of pardonees? Somebody should have seen that as, okay, is it that somehow somebody is sympathetic to those that are doing this kind of illicit kind of business? So for me, anybody, not one person, that has been convicted for drug-related offenses should be on that. Not one, not even one. There's no basis for that. The same with economic and financial crimes. Anybody else has been able to convict under Nigerians, public office holders, foreigners, anybody at all, that the EFCC has gone through the rigor of diligent prosecution to secure conviction, something that is very difficult in our criminal justice procedure in this country. Any of such persons, no matter how highly placed, should not be a candidate for pardon at all. At all. Anybody that has committed the crime of kidnapping, armed robbery, and murder, especially spousal murder, has no business on that list of pardon. At all. At all, at all. The kind of people you pardon from time to time are people that have something close to a politically inclined kind of infraction that is not criminal in nature, it is not terrorism in nature, it's something that looks like miscarriage of justice. For instance, Maman Vatsa, up until the time he was executed, maintained that he was innocent of the charges of coup plot against the military government of President Ibrahim Babangida. And there was no conclusive evidence really to link him to the coup. He was preparing to go for Christmas. His wife was on Calabar. He was preparing to go for Christmas because he spent his Christmas holiday in Calabar with his wife and the wife's family. Because she was a Christian while he was a Muslim from Niger State here. So he was already preparing to drive on the long journey to Calabar when his attention was required somewhere. And it turned out to be a detention and then trial. Someone who's planning a coup would not be at home, planning to go for holiday in Calabar with his wife. So everybody knew that it was simply a matter of mutual suspicion. Both of them were mates, they were corporate, and in the military, particularly at the time when military were still much involved in political activities in Nigeria, this rivalry often rears its head because everybody has an ambition to sit on that seat, sort of say. So sometimes even those who may not necessarily have the ambition or who is not planning to do so are usually mutual suspects. It's always like that. And because Baba Bassa was a very strong supporter of the then General Muhammadu Buhari, who was just ousted, they were not comfortable with him in government anymore. He was part of the coup that brought in Babangida. That alone made him an outsider and a suspect. So, you know now, one thing to the other, he was executed. If you are pardoning such a man who was in court, whose has already caught in the cookie jar, who wasn't really seen carrying a rifle, who was not implicated in fact, the coup didn't even happen. It's quite understandable. Especially being somebody who distinguished himself as a competent public administrator, associate minister, for instance. Most of the developments you see in Abuja today were pioneered by Maman Vatsa. He was extremely hardworking. He poured his soul, his body, his everything into developing Abuja from the very scratch. What we're enjoying today, the foundations were laid by Maman Vatsa and some of his other predecessors. So he was a good guy, but was accused. An accusation that wasn't supported by any shred of evidence. Unlike, for instance, the Oka coup. Oka himself went to announce that we have had a coup. So nobody can talk about pardon for Oka. I mean, he said it. The same thing with the Dimka coup. Dimka shot at, and his men shot at our head of state, General Murtala Mohammed, and killed him. So nobody was going to talk about pardon for Dimka or something like that. But this one was one of those kind of coups that later became a trend. Once anyone does not like your face, they will bring up a coup story, flush the army, arrest generals. It's happened to General Dia. So it happened to General Basanjo. It happened subsequently after then. So this was a good case for pardon. The Ogoni 9, for instance, we were wondering, what are they being pardoned for?
Because they themselves, some of the activists and, political representatives
on Shell to remediate the environment. So it became an issue. Now, the Ogoni 4 were a group of other Ogoni people who were equally concerned about the environment, no less concerned about the environment. But the problem is this: some of them were in government. You know, this suspicion between you are in government.
Yeah.
We are protesting against government. Are you sure you are not on the side of government and not on the side of the people? There was this exchange of rhetoric between the Ogoni 9 people and the Ogoni 4. So eventually, a mob attacked the Ogoni 4 at a public event where there was supposed to be a meeting. and they were murdered by a mob. But this mob did not include, Saliwa was not on the scene of the murder and some other of the members of the Ogoni 9. But it was believed that incitement, maybe, it was believed that by, how do I put it now? When somebody speaks so much against people within that are sabotaging the effort of the community, and some subtly point fingers towards certain kind of people, and then the people that moved on and lynched those people. So that was why they were arrested. It was your incitement, it was your statement, it was your whatever that led to the killing of these people. So the federal government came in immediately, arrested and put them on military tribunal to try them for the murder of these 4 people. Again, like I said, Saddam was not a terrorist, not a man, he didn't carry arms. So you could argue that I didn't kill anybody. So to say that because I was speaking against people that were within, that are perceived to part of the government and are not putting all their effort to help the community as we are doing, as activists, if they were lynched by the community, there's no material evidence that links me and the 8 of other culprits to the killing of our beloved brothers. These people that were killed were prominent Ogoni sons and daughters. Ogoni sons, rather, they are those sons, not daughters. So there was no conclusive evidence. Nobody saw, and really there was no militancy at that time. So that it's not a matter of we gave you guns to go and kill, no. But people sometimes get emotional and feel we are our enemy from within. These ones are fighting for us. And they go and kill these other people. And it was blamed on these other people. And this was the military government. Nobody was killed. Nobody cared about evidence, hard facts, or anything. It's about, we think you are responsible. We have been a troublemaker. So you know that your people have killed these other people. We are putting you on trial. So based on that, we are convicted for killing these 4 people and hanged. So again, it's a politically, charged issue. It's an issue that has to do with the politics of oil mineral resources management and economic justice. Therefore, if after many years, the president decided to say, okay, we're going to honor the memories of the Ogoni 4.
Yeah.
So that they didn't die as traitors, they are not saboteurs. They were as committed to the people as the Ogoni 9, so we are going to give them the national honors.
That's the Ogoni 4.
The Ogoni 4. So as to it's like beautifying people that people have condemned as the reason for our problems, and they were killed. So to bring it, because they have the people in Ogoni. They have their own sons and daughters. They have their own families. They have those who are still in pain today because of their fathers were killed. 4 of them. So what happened was simple. The government has decided, and I think I support this particular one. We're going to honor this 4 to put a closure to this, and then pardon these other people too. Because if you pardon the Ogoni 9 without also taking care of this Ogoni 4, bad blood will continue. Already people are coming to the media to say, hey, our fathers are victims too. So, so to settle both everybody, so that let oil exploration start again in Ogoni land, and let the benefit begin to come to Ogoni people, hopefully this time around, not like before, was what the federal government under Tinubu's administration now said, look, we honor the Ogoni 4 and then we pardon the Ogoni 9. Acceptable. Now, beyond these 2 cases, from what I've seen in that list, any other case that has to do with this kind of complicated issues that are not necessarily about crime or terrorism or banditry, that has to do with, politically motivated kind of activities.
If it's a politically exposed person, you also have the likes of Herbert Macaulay on that list and Farouk Lawan. So.
Now, Farouk Lawan has no business on that list. Farouk Lawan committed a crime and was convicted accordingly. He has no business on that list. Macaulay too has no business on that list at all. Macaulay's activities, the crime that he was alleged to have committed happened under the colonial authority. The Nigerian state disregarded all those records of colonial prosecution of nationalists. That is why the Nigerian government, the Nigerian nation, honored Herbert Macaulay, the founder of the first political party in Nigeria, the father of Nigerian nationalism. In fact, he's like the father of modern Nigerian political democracy. His image adorns our 1 naira coin today. When it was note, you could see his mustache. If I had that mustache then, he used to give me a lot of joy because 1 naira note was something that I used to receive as gift from my grandpa then. So each time they stretched pieces of 1 naira note into about 10 naira then, 1 naira 10 mint. Yeah. When you see the mustache of...
I saw you were bowling when you were collecting as much as 10 naira in 1 naira note.
So if you see the mustache of, what do you call it now?
Yeah.
There was this feel of, wow, this is 1 naira, man. And the 1 naira could do a lot. It's not today that you can't see 1 naira anymore. So for somebody whose picture adorns our national currency, what other pardon do you want to give to him? He's been honored beyond pardon. And so I don't know why the president is so even agitated or obsessed with pardoning people. Leave this matter, Mr. President. We have more pressing issues. So before anything, anybody qualifies for pardon, it has to go through, people that have suffered historical injustice. Maybe at the time, probably in the military, when the military was skewed in its judgment. So what the military wanted to achieve in Ugoland was, these ones that are making trouble, that are talking, that are doing rally up and down, that are agitating for a better deal, we want to deal with them. To serve as a lesson that nobody again should talk about any nonsense here anymore. That's what they did that for. So those people deserve pardon because officially they were convicted and hanged. So they deserve pardon, posthumous pardon, so that they were no longer convicts and that they were activists and that they fought for their people. It's a painful memory. I mean, I can imagine people's children living with the memory of their fathers being hanged for nothing. I mean, all those whose fathers were killed too for nothing, really. All because the federal government mismanaged the crisis. All the government needed to do then was to tell Shell, go and do the needful. Simple as a government. We are with our people. But no. The revenue was coming, so nobody cared about the ordinary people. And that was what led to militants eventually. Because when Sarawa and his peaceful method didn't work and they were killed, others that succeeded Sarawa took up arms against the state. So it was that on that basis also that amnesty was granted later to say that the government actually failed in its responsibility. That was what triggered the crisis in the militants in Niger Delta. So government took responsibility. Exactly. That okay, we are culpable, we are complicit in this. So we need to take responsibility and find a middle ground without relaxing military measures anyway. Fine. So I'm saying that apart from these two that I've seen in that list, General Fasa and Yogodinai, nobody else should be on that list that I've seen, sir. Nobody should be there. If you commit a crime, if you steal people's money, steal public fund, go to jail and serve your term and remain a convict for life so that people will know that you shouldn't do this. Why should you pardon Farouk Lawan? Why? He abused his legislative privileges. He took bribe at a time that we are probing an important matter, a subsidy of petroleum matter. He was given the responsibility to unravel the cause of the bloated subsidy payment then that made government to remove subsidy, claiming they can no longer afford it. And the argument then was this: you can afford subsidy. The bloated figure is corruption. The what you are paying for is more of corruption. And it's your responsibility to flush corruption from the subsidy payment regime and allow me to enjoy the dividend of being an oil-producing country citizen. That was the argument then. So based on that argument, the House of Representatives said, okay, let us now probe subsidy payment. It was in the course of probing subsidy payment that Ahmed Lawan, Farouk Lawan, fell into this trap of an oil marketer who had some discrepancy, so to say, in his own books, and to cover him up, he agreed to accept bribe and he didn't know it was a sting operation. And he collected the money.
Okay. So no business being on that list.
Not at all.
But let's assume and let's hope that this review is very thorough.
Yes.
Is free of some of the things that people had accused the initial 175 list of being of people coming to influence and say, okay, put this name here and put this name there. Let's assume that it's very thoroughly, very transparently carried out. Well, I don't know if transparency is asking for too much, but I expect that there should be some transparency in this review. Are there any names that you would consider that should be added to the list to replace some of these people who are, as you said, undeserving of pardon?
We don't have to have 125 names. I've just picked out two. Dogoni and Mamamvatsa. Like I said, Ababakole has no business appearing there because that one has already...
No, I'm talking about maybe from any other cases that, from some of the things that have happened over time. At least one name does come to me whenever I think about this list. I think about Sunday Jackson, who was tried and convicted for defending himself.
Okay, let me explain something about that case.
Okay.
You see, let's be careful about media reports. If there's anybody in this country today who has been accused of being anti-Fulani, I think that person should be Majeed Dahiru. Because of my strong stance on banditry-related issues that are perpetrated by elements from this particular demography. But in the case of Sunday Jackson, let's be careful. I was not in the court there. You were not there. What you have been relying on is the media reportage around the case. I've not seen the court records. I've not seen the testimonies of the lawyers, prosecuting witnesses, defense witnesses, and what made the court to arrive at that judgment. The best that can happen to that young man is to ask for a judicial review of his case.
As opposed to an outright pardon?
Yes, because a court of competent jurisdiction has actually found him guilty of murder. Yes, the media report said that it was in his farm, they came to his farm, he was trying to defend himself. Okay, yep. But I don't know what happened in court. I can't rely on media reports to ascertain what happened in court. I believe that the justices of the court, in their wisdom, must have looked at all the facts for them before finding him guilty. I'm trying to give benefit of doubt to the judiciary here. I mean,
I can clearly see that, and I commend you for doing that.
There is a presumption. Yeah, you see, in criticizing or you can't pull down all institutions. No, I've not seen the fact. I've not seen it. So if people still feel strong that this guy acted in self-defense, right? Mm-hmm. A judicial review should be instituted. And the only person that can do this is the Chief Justice of the Federation. A judicial review, okay. Can we take another look at this case? Can we order a trial? Let us expand the scope of the material evidence that was brought in. Was this really a case of self-defense, or was this a case of murder? Because it's a tricky situation. First, where the issue of self-defense stops is where murder starts from. It's tricky. You see, in our constitution, it's not well defined. In American law, for example, it's clearly defined. Clearly. If somebody, like in some states in America, if somebody sees your shadow around his fence, he can shoot you to death. There's nobody, the state allows you to do that. In a state like Florida, for instance, if you fear that a police officer is trying to arrest you wrongly out of persecution, you can shoot him dead. It's called stand your ground rule. The same thing, citizens in Florida are allowed to arrest criminal suspects. And if they want to escape from being arrested, citizen arrest, you can shoot the person. These are clearly defined. In Nigeria, it's not clearly defined.
That's the issue of self-defense.
It's not defined, though. In fact, they don't put it in the Constitution of Baga. What's in the business of self-defense? They don't allow us to carry. They don't allow us to possess them, which is firearms, for example. So I'm saying that a judicial review should be instituted. You know, I'm being careful here. I don't want people to go with the impression that because it now concerns somebody who was reported to be a farmer and a victim of herdsmen encroachment into his farm, and I'm not calling for... No. Look, anybody that kills a herdsman or murder and is taken to court, and the court reviewed all the evidence and said you are guilty of killing the herdsman, I think that should be the case. For those who kill a farmer, and the court goes through the court process, and the court decides that yes, you killed the farmer, so be it. Court has ruled. There is a presumption of correctness on the side of arms of government when they act. Presumption of correctness, yes. It is even more so for the judiciary. That's the truth. Because the law can be treated in any way. And I'll be unfair to sit here without having the material fact that was translated in court, canvassed in court, to now rely on what has been the popular media narrative to now call for his pardon. Rather, it's a judicial review. The state where the petition started from, Adamawa State, the Attorney General of Adamawa State can be petitioned to say, we need you to apply for judicial review to the NJC. Now look, supporting the material for that, there are more supporting facts to the fact that this man acted exclusively in self-defense. Exclusively. It can now go through the rigors of a review. It happened in America severally, where people are wrongly convicted because of racism, of course, and some other factors. Many years later, judicial reviews were instituted to say, no, this man, this white woman accused of rape, and they tried to toss him into prison, never raped anybody, and the state will pay compensation. So if they review the case and discover that this guy didn't go out of his way to murder anybody, he was trying to save his own life, for instance, and it was proven beyond reasonable doubt. Don't forget that the court is only said to me, Not a Father Christmas.
I think that's where perhaps it might be even more tricky if you're looking at the case of a Sunday Jackson and maybe some other people who fall into this category. That clause of proven beyond reasonable doubt that it is self-defense, because what is the evidence or who are the witnesses in this?
So, now, do our laws need review? Yes, of course, I think it does.
Does our judicial system need review?
I think so. But it is what it is now. But you can go through a review to say, look, I think something went wrong here. Because, okay, this was on this farm. We know that there's a problem. This happened in trying to... okay. What they ask is first, was that a threat to life? Or threat to crops and properties? Of which cannot exchange life for property. You know, it's a tricky, very tricky situation. Very, very tricky. I sympathize with him. I understand the pains. The guy definitely was not a criminal. But I'm just saying, the way our laws are framed, the way our procedures are carried out, I cannot sit here and say, okay, he was wrongly convicted, he should be pardoned. Rather, I was saying, go for a review. Go for a judicial review of this matter. Starting from Adamawa State Attorney General's office. They can even contact the Attorney General of the Federation to also apply for review. To say, look, we have, and you apply for review, you submit additional material evidence to suggest or to support the fact that was clearly a case of self-defense, not premeditated murder.
But just to be clear, Dr. Majeed, I mean, I hear what you say about being careful because you don't have the particulars of the case, but you also made reference of the fact that we need to be careful about media reportage around this issue. I don't believe that the media will be careless enough to take on such an issue. You know, at some point it did have beyond the shores of Nigeria, it did have some what they call it now. There was this whole outcry, you know, outside the shores of Nigeria. I just want to say, because when you say to be careful of media reportage, I mean, it's always good to fact check. It's always good to...
Let me rephrase. What I meant is, what I said rather is, we cannot rely on media reportage.
Sir.
No, you can't.
You cannot rely on... okay. I need clarification. Because a lot of what we discuss is based on media reportage.
No. What
of course, with
analyzing a judgment from a court.
Okay.
You can't rely on interpretive media report that says, he was just an innocent man in his farm and somebody came to encroach and he defended himself and the person somebody died. This is what the media framed to be. It could be true. But in law, there's a wide gap between truth and facts. That's what I'm saying. I've not seen the material facts presented in court which guided the justices to give a judgment against the man. So, for instance, if I were to be a lawyer who has interest in this matter, and then I go through the entire documents in court, everything that was canvassed for and against, I can now look at areas where I think the justices ignored from the defense side and why they should have taken a look at it and ask for a review. What I'm saying in essence is, I can't rely on public opinion, on media reportage to determine the correctness or otherwise, the appropriateness or otherwise of a court judgment. Because the court does not reason along with popular kind of reasoning, Nigerian courts especially. Let me put it this way. I think, if you ask me, I support a review. I'll give you an example. I've already said that Nigerian laws are a little bit too inanimate. That is, they are cock and barrel. They are inorganic. It's like the law, we citizens were made for the law, not the other way around. It also lacks a moral suasion to it. Right? And I've always advocated that. You see, morality itself is the basis for the law. And that the law was crafted to safeguard morality. So, for instance, you would refer that justices of Nigerian courts, the Nigerians themselves, will understand that certain things are happening in this country that does not need too much of hard evidence. I mean, you can tell. You are citizens, you are part of the society. But you still want someone to go and bring all of the hard evidence to prove something that you know has become a common phenomenon in this country. This is what foreign jurisdictions do not do. No. If you go to court in Nigeria, you'll be bored. You know what I mean? You know the way you enjoy court, watch series, and you enjoy court cases in America or in UK. If you go to Nigerian court, you'll be bored to death. everything you're going to say, you must back it up with one section or other of the Constitution, or criminal code, how do you call it? Penal code, criminal code. You must back it with. So now you see lawyers go to Nigeria court, they carry bags and bags of, as if they are going for seminar. Yes. That's why cases take a very long time to get determined. Because you have to quote this to support it. Then the judge is busy writing everything you are saying.
Yeah. Oh my God, I experienced that one.
There is no logic of reasoning. There is no suasion. There is no argument, really. It's about quoting this versus quoting this. So, it should not be, if you have to cancel out this person's argument in your quotation, fine. So, it leaves a wide gap for what you call discretion on the part of the judge. But in American, for example, position, they have trial by jury. Because case law has to do with justice to the society. It has to do with common sense of logic and reasoning. So you bring a group of young men and women, elderly, old, everybody, as jury. They are not lawyers. They're not lawyers.
Society, yes.
But a point of integrity, simple. They come and now listen to all of the arguments and decide that, from what we have seen, from my reading of these people, this guy acted in self-defense. So they pass their verdict to the judge. Right? And the judge rules in line with their verdict. It tells how they have democratized and made their justice system popular in a way. Nigeria is not there. We don't have that.
All right, sir.
That is the reason why, for instance, I'm calling for a review.
Okay.
I'm not saying the guy is guilty. No, I'm not saying so, please.
Okay.
But we need to review our system. But in this case, first, let us review his own case.
Yeah.
Because as much as we have sympathy for him, there is still a slim chance that indeed he committed murder and not self-defense.
All right. Let's take a break on that one. When we come back, we'll take the final story and open up the phone line. Stay with us.
Naija people, you sabi event some Wazobia perfume
and the magical Lucille.
Still hard facts here, the midweek special. And my name is Somi, short for Penna Somi, and Dr. Majeed Dahiru is still here with us. He's the tech team lead at Luxterra, and he's been sharing with us thus far. 2 stories in still. I'll just quickly run through the last one before we open up the phone lines. Remember, we are streaming. You want to go to our Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja to be part of the conversation there as well. We're already seeing some of your messages, and we'll take them in a little bit. Dr. Majeed, I'm curious. Have you been following along with what the Senate and the Legislative House in general, the legislative houses have been up to in recent times? They've been quite busy, putting out a number of legislations here and there. I don't know if you've been following.
No, we're following.
Okay. Let's look at this latest one, which hit the headlines this morning. The Senate, yesterday actually, when they proposed life imprisonment for defilement of minors in the country, a major departure from what I think used to be a 5-year prison term, and then also proposed a 10-year jail term for any person who detains a man or woman, boy or girl, against their will in order to have unlawful carnal knowledge of him or her in any place. Even though this second bit seems more general, but boy or girl, I believe, if this still falls into the category of defilement of minors, should also automatically mean life imprisonment. Because they are young children, they are minors and all of that. They said such a person will be found guilty of felony, that's the second bit, and will be liable for 10 years imprisonment without an option of a fine. I'm interested in this legislation that they are pushing for, especially, and as it tallies with jail time, because we're talking about some of the failings, if you will, of our judiciary. Just before the break, you were talking about how Nigerian courts will put you to sleep if you were to follow through with their proceedings. But just to ensure that we are able to marry the two, first and foremost, what do you think about the sentences that they are proposing for defilement of minors in the country, and then coming to our justice system to see are they even efficient enough in the delivery of justice to be able to ensure that things like this are carried out? Because we have some peculiarities when it comes to minors in this country, depending on what part of the country that you're from. So how is this something that they can even sustain if really it does if it does go through a
It
sense.
depends on the definition of the age of a minor in Nigeria. I believe anybody below 18 is supposed to be a minor, right? And since it is at the National Assembly, meaning senators from every part of the country and rep members are gathered there to pass this law. And if they pass it, it means it has enjoyed the support of all sections and not the divides. As per the severity of the sentence itself, life imprisonment for defiling of a minor, I think defiling of a minor is actually a very serious issue. Most people don't know the extent to which that goes to define somebody's life, or to deform it rather. Psychologically, emotionally, it does incalculable damage to individuals that have gone through the pain or the misfortune of being abused as minors or being defiled as minors. It leaves them permanently damaged. Permanently. If you have ever interacted with adults that went through such pain as minors, they are never really the same anymore. So if you can inflict pain on somebody, that will forever make them lose their innocence, lose their very essence of life, lose everything that there is that makes life pleasurable. I think you deserve to actually spend the rest of your life in solitary confinement as well. So as long as the person lives, you too will live where you are not able to have opportunity to do the same thing to other people. I don't think it's such a harsh, punishment. As per the capacity of the judiciary to deliver on some of these laws and get justice for victims, all we need to do is to continuously put pressure on the government to enhance the capacity of the judiciary, both at the state and federal level, to expand capacity, to improve the capacity by way of number of judges, courtrooms and premises, every working tool that is required to accommodate, these cases from across the country should be done so that when you make laws, they are effectively implemented and adjudicated upon when the need arises. So, yes, as it stands today, the judiciary is grossly inadequate. It's underfunded. It lacks the capacity to manage a lot of cases coming its way. And that is why the wheels of justice in Nigeria grind very slowly in a manner that often delays justice, which can be tantamount to denying justice. But all we can say that while this law is good, it is well intended, we need to also get the National Assembly in this case to vote more money for the judiciary to expand their capabilities and the capacity to contain this deluge of cases that they are now making laws upon.
Just to be clear, when you say more money, I mean, we know that with the coming of this administration, their remuneration was raised about 300%. In the FCT here, for example, the FCT minister does not play on matters of judges. What was it the other day? Was it the houses? I can't remember what the case was. All of this will that be enough? Or when you say expand the capacity of the judiciary, it's just by having more judges. I'm just trying to understand.
More judges,
yes.
More courtrooms, more judicial staffs. What you have is grossly inadequate. Sometimes your cases will linger for a long time before they're assigned to judges because judges has so many cases on his hand or her hand.
But isn't that solely due to process as opposed to structure?
No, it's more about structural process. It's very unhealthy. In Nigeria, one of the major drawbacks to even foreign investment in Nigeria is the slow pace of the judicial system. For instance, Nnamdi Kanu we talked about has been in court for 5 years, right? About 5 years now. 2021. But it took the Finnish authorities how many months to dispense with Simon Ekpa's case? And give a judgment. So that it tells you how cases drag in. It drags for too long. Lack of capacities. Our judges are overworked. The system is overwhelmed. So we need to expand it. Beyond buildings for judges, go into the real issue and solve it. Yes.
All right, let's open up the phone lines and get your take on the story shared thus far. 07009510000. 0809-597-4869, and on WhatsApp it's 009-993-0137. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Adola Victor from Bitalaji.
Go ahead, sir.
I think the committee on this prerogative of mercy, the committee did a shady and suspicious job And I believe because of some interest, so some of these committee members, I think they have interest, or some of their friends have interest. Because why will you release murderers and discoverers?
They haven't been released yet.
Hello?
They haven't been released yet. I'm with you, sir. I'm just saying they haven't been released yet.
So I think they have to review that thing. And those who are cooperative, who involve in trading games, they should be sanctioned. Then as for Kanu, I think the government should speed up this case because the government is dragging. I don't know why they are dragging. They are just incarcerating him. And if you want to do this case, do it. If you want to sentence him, if you want to release him, instead of keeping it there, the government is causing a lot of problems. So let them do this. Look at Ekpa in Finland. His case has been considered and sentenced. So let government do the needful very fast. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon to your guest.
Go ahead, sir. He can hear you.
All right. My name is Sapi. Please, I want to ask a question. This pardon that they are granted to so-called convicted people, I thought it's for those that is wrongly convicted that is supposed to be pardoned. Or is it for the officer there? It makes us not to be taken seriously. Committee of Nations. So please, I want you to please say more light about this pardon of people. Once I slip away from come and started pardon people, is that or how? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I believe Dr. Majeed has done justice to his impression of the list and who he thinks should be on it or not. It now remains for the review. That's the committees. No, it's not committee. The agencies that are reviewing the list to be able to come up with what they feel is the most appropriate in terms of names on the list. But thank you so much for calling. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi. Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed. My name is Abakar, calling you from Gwagwalada.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, it happened from time immemorial. Some people constitute themselves as Kaba in any time in given history. Those who believe that they monopolize certain specialized knowledge, they will abuse that privilege. It happened. That is why even the marching leader challenged the hierarchy of the ancient Catholic establishment, and he broke away. So currently in Nigeria, they will tell you Constitution has a technical interpretation. If you are not a person that belongs to that segment of society, you can't understand the wisdom of Constitution. That is why we always witness legal interpretation are contrary. But if an ordinary criminal stole a good, will be sentenced to be sent to prison immediately. But a political case of maybe investment of billions of naira will be the case will be dragging. Nnamdi Kanu case will be politicized, to be state managed. We have seen the case of similar to that of Nnamdi Kanu in Spain. People, separatist groups, to break away from Spain. They are granted national pardon, clemency and amnesty, and they were adopted back to the society. But
all right, sir.
Nnamdi Kanu it's unwarranted. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome.
Yeah. Please, Somi, I'm confused. Please, who was the chairman for that committee?
What committee?
The state pardon. Who was the chairman?
I don't believe I don't believe I have
General.
I don't know if he was the chairman. I know he was sort of part of the process, but I don't know if he was the chairman.
I think he was part of that committee, if not the chairman.
He announced it. He announced the list. I don't know if he chaired the committee. He announced it at the Council of State meeting.
This is fact check, because if he was the chairman, you as the chairman, you presented that list to your principal. At the end of the day now, after the outcry, what is your work as the Chief Justice of Attorney General of the Federation? You saw the list, you didn't peruse it, you went and presented it. Now you are telling us that you are sending the list to the various heads of parastatals. It's wrong. It's wrong. We cannot get justice from this kind of a person as Attorney General of the Federation. Thank you.
All right. He says you can't get justice. Are you saying that? I don't even know what you're saying at this point. I'm trying to understand what you mean. If maybe perhaps say he was the chairman, for example, I've not confirmed that he was or not, and he didn't go through this process that they're putting it through now. Shouldn't there be some sort of credit granted to them or benefit of the doubt granted to them? I believe Dr. Majeed Dahiru was asking the question, is it too little too late? But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this last comment saying that if the Attorney General of the Federation chaired the committee, then you cannot trust him to deliver on justice? Or how did he put it?
Yeah, it's something that can be... It's a concern that is actually quite legitimate. But again, okay, for what it is what? But the same man has wanted to say we are reviewing, following public outcry, even though it is stated categorically so, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and see if this will also correct them, not just in this case, but for subsequent cases, to know that people are watching. And it does not do the government any good at all.
Okay.
To do some things in a manner that will bring a problem to the government.
All right. Okay. I had to quickly fact check, and I can see that the let's see. Let's get that information. Just give me a few minutes. Oh yeah. The presidential pardon and clemency of 175 persons followed the endorsement of recommendations from the National Council of State. And there was also said to be a committee that sat on it. And according to this report that I'm looking at here, I'm going to do another check just to be sure. But yeah, according to this report that I'm looking at here, it did say that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice chaired the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy list. But okay, I'll double check again, but I think that's what you wanted, and I have confirmed that for now. Pending any other information which I get to the contrary, yes, he did chair the committee. All right, let's look at the messages very, very quickly. Good afternoon. I wonder why Nigerians keep on protesting under APC government. Since 2015, has any protest yielded any result? For me, protest under APC government is like signing a death warrant. And this is from Gideon C. from Gwagwalada. Well, that's your opinion. Let's see. Pollard says, good day, Somi. Your guest failed to mention two separate courts in Nigeria had discharged and acquitted Nnamdi Kanu, meaning meanwhile, terrorists are walking freely in Nigeria. I believe this is as regards the presidential pardon list. That's not entirely true, is it? That's not entirely true.
For some people, you mention Nnamdi Kanu and you don't say they should release him. They think you're against him. We are discussing the issue before the media, which is Nnamdi Kanu has opened his defense.
Yeah.
It's not within my forte to go into now talk about the fact that he has been released according to you before, now, or after. I only made a comment on the fact that he has opened his defense. And I was a bit curious as to the kind of people he has lined up as defense witnesses. For me, actually very hostile witnesses that may come in and testify against him rather than for him. So it's not, the question before me was not to comment on his continuous detention or whether he should be released. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. All right. Moving on here. Please, for those of you who are still experiencing issues listening via terrestrial radio, please please and please, there's some maintenance work going on. Please go to our app, go to Play Store, iStore to download the app, or listen in via our website at www.nigeriainfo.fm/Abuja, or you can just go to the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Please and please, we crave your indulgence to do that. I see some messages are still coming in complaining about that. It's work in progress. We're hoping to conclude it soon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sister Somi. Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed. Concerning this Kano case.
More conversation.
You can see there all the people that he listed to be a witness in his case. I don't think they are going to favor him. To me, it's just like he put himself, he have already shot himself on the foot. Yes. Because all these people that you mentioned that you want to be a prosecutor, a witness, is it in your favor or against you? I think it's law of karma. Yes, it's law of karma. Because of what he did, it now means calculating. All those people that he want to come and be a witness, is it to support him or to go against him? So he should think twice. I think he have a lawyer. Did he consult his lawyer before he listed all those people that he mentioned? If it's yes, then he has already shot himself on the foot. And the consequence will be so gracious for him by the end of the case. So I think it's a law of karma. So let him continue. I'm Mr. OJ from Abuja.
All right, thank you, Mr. OJ, and have a nice day to you too. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take more of your contributions and wrap up on the midweek special.
It's not